So I saw this Bleacher Report article from Zach Buckley going around on Twitter today, and it's titled "Blockbuster NBA Trades for Teams Ready to Risk It All." And I would certainly describe the Miami Heat as someone who is ready to risk it all, or someone who should risk it all. Now, I don't really know what I mean by all, because they really don't have a lot of assets, at least not compared to other teams. But considering they just lost by 55 points at home in an elimination game, there's no longer any excuse that they can run it back. There's also no excuse for y'all not to be subscribed, which right now 56.1% of y'all aren't. Make sure to hit that button, fix that. I do appreciate you. Let's get back into it. Unless they say, oh, just give Andrew Wiggins a training camp and things will be different. No, the front office can no longer be as delusional as they have been and think that they have enough, to use the old Spoism. So they either blow it up completely and rebuild, which we know they don't do, or they try to go whale hunting. And this offseason, I do think that there's 5 stars that are potentially available for trade. That's Kevin Durant, Giannis, Zion, Trae Young, and Ja Morant. And in this article, I see they actually got Giannis as the header. So I'm assuming they'll have some kind of trade for him in here. But let's get into the article. I didn't really look at it yet. All I do know is that the Heat are involved. But the first trade they do have is Zion Williamson, who says the Pistons tap Zion as their Cade Code star. Woo-wee! That duo of Zion and Cade, that actually sounds quite fun. It says the Pistons receive Zion Williamson, and the Pelicans will receive Jaden Ivey, Tobias Harris, some guy named Bobby Clintman, a 27 first-round pick, and a 25 second-round pick. Wow. So only 1 first-round pick. So the Zion Williamson thing is interesting because I honestly have no idea what his trade value is. On the optimistic side, he's a very young star who looks dominant when he plays. And on the other side, he's a very out-of-shape man who can't shoot and can't stay healthy. So there's 2 widely different extremes there. Obviously, it doesn't seem like things have really worked out well in New Orleans. He never was really able to get the weight under control, which I'd imagine is very hard to do in New Orleans. That fried food looks amazing. But I do think it's possibly time that they need a change of scenery. The team, or the direction that team is going, just doesn't make quite a lot of sense. They traded for CJ McCollum a couple years back. He's much older than Zion and Brandon Ingram. And then obviously this past offseason, they flipped Brandon Ingram. So it's looking like they're trying to rebuild, but they still got CJ McCollum, so they should try to move him. It's looking like they're going to try to trade Zion. And then they do have some other nice young pieces that they could either build around, whether it's Trey Murphy or Herb Jones, or flip those guys for assets and go the whole OKC route, because they have the potential there, right? I think they got a pick for Brandon Ingram. They could obviously get a couple of picks for Zion, even though they only have 1 pick going in this trade. And then I do think Herb Jones and Williams and a bunch of other guys do have some trade value as well. But if I was the Pistons, I would definitely do this. I mean, obviously, you're a destination that's really not a free agent destination. You're not going to really get guys to come to you. And how often is there a guy who looks like he can be a superstar that fits the young timeline of your team? It doesn't happen quite often. Obviously, this time you got Trae Young and Ja, but both those guys are point guards. You don't want to play them with Cade. Obviously, the spacing is a bit of a concern for Detroit. They had a lot of guards who couldn't shoot a lot, like Jaden Ivey, who they're flipping in this trade. Marcus Sasser was playing a little bit, but Cade was one of the guys who wasn't really known as a floor spacer. He really did up that this season, was even in the 3-point contest. I'm not sure how sustainable that 3-point shot is, but I do think he's getting there to becoming a better shooter. So I don't think the shooting concerns are as big an issue as they were in the past. That's why they added Malik Beasley this past offseason, who they're going to try to re-sign. They added Tim Hardaway Jr., who's also a free agent, so I know that they want to re-sign him as well. If that's the case, I do think they have plenty of spacing to go around Zion Williamson. Obviously, the front court of Durant and Zion, you're not going to have spacing there, especially not, or Isaiah Stewart spaces the floor a little bit, but their bigs aren't really floor spacers. They tried the whole Simone Fontecchio experiment, which didn't really work out. But if you can go and get a talent as good as Zion Williamson, you got to do it. And from the Pelican side of things, I mean, Jaden Ivey was a nice young player, but he can't really shoot either, and I'm not super high on him, although he's a great defender. He just missed all of last season with the injury. Tobias Harris is on a pretty big contract still, and I don't think 1 first-round pick's enough for Zion Williamson. I really don't do it. It says the Pelicans would do it. I guess they don't want to pay. They don't want to pay Zion Williamson, and yeah, they're just going in a bit of a rebuild. But I don't know. I love the trade for Detroit. Truthfully, if this is the package for Zion, as a Heat fan, I would throw 2 picks at Zion, and I would try to up it. I really would. The Heat need someone who's an interior presence that could also rebound the ball a little bit. That's Zion Williamson. And also, Zion did a pretty good job last year playing the point guard role, and I don't think he can be a full-time facilitator, but he could help the Miami Heat, who doesn't really have a facilitator. I do think he could help move the ball on the Heat lineup. But yeah, that'd be a W for Detroit for sure. Second trade we have here says Rockets fix their offense with a Durant mega deal. Before I get into the package, I don't really think Durant will go for a mega deal. One of the questions that I asked in a previous video a few weeks back is, who has more trade value, KD or Zion? Do you go for the younger guy with more potential who gets hurt more often, or do you go for a guy in Kevin Durant who's proven, I know he had a couple major injuries, but he was healthy. Well, he did turn the ankle at the end of last season, but in his career, he's been more healthy than Zion. Obviously, you don't have any fitness issues there, and he just had a more efficient season. He's obviously a better shooter, so I personally think Zion has the more trade value, but let's see what they have Kevin Durant going for. So the Houston Rockets will get Kevin Durant, and in return, the Suns would get Van Vliet, Cam Whitmore, a 25 first-round pick, a 27 first-round pick, and a 28 first-round pick. Wow. So obviously, they have Durant going for more trade value here, 3 first-round picks. I think Durant will probably end up going for 2 in the trade market. The thing you got to realize about Durant is he's on the last year of his deal with Phoenix. He's 36 years old. So pretty much any team that trades for him has to be guaranteed that he's going to resign there. And when that's the case, the Suns just don't have a lot of leverage, because I would say Kevin Durant's probably the most likely star to be traded this offseason. I'll give it like a 90%. And I'll put Zion Williamson at maybe like a 50% chance, I'll say, which either they do or they don't. I know 50% is a cop-out answer. But Durant, I'm fairly certain will get traded. Because he's 36 on the expiring deal, he will give the Suns a list. And the only way he'll really go for 3 first-round picks is if he has a bunch of teams on his list and there's a whole bidding war. But historically, when Durant has switched teams, he hasn't given a giant list. He wanted to go to Brooklyn, then he wanted to go to Phoenix or Miami, but then kind of backed out of Miami and said Phoenix, went to Phoenix. I'm not sure if he'll give the Suns a bunch of teams. If he does, those teams could create a bidding war. If not, I don't think he'll go for that much. And it is surprising, though, that the only young asset that the Suns would be giving up is Cam Whitmore, because they have so many young players that they could trade, like Jalen Green, who, why would the Suns want Green? They got Devin Booker, but they also got Jabari Smith Jr., who'd be a nice fit in Phoenix. They got Reed Shepherd, who obviously has a lot of untapped potential, although he plays a similar position as Booker. But still, and the Van Vliet's on the final year of a team deal. I guess in this case, the Suns would have to, or the Rockets would have to opt into that team deal, exercise that team option, and then flip them to Phoenix. And then in that case, Phoenix gets a large expiring salary, which is what they're going to want. That's why from a Heat fan perspective, I do think the Heat have a shot, because we have 2 large expiring salaries in Terry Rozier and Duncan Robinson. And Durant makes a lot of money, meaning the Suns got to take a lot of money back. And they're not going to want to take on a lot of money for a lot of years. And how many teams have $50 million worth of expiring deals? Well, the Heat do, and then I guess the Rockets do because of that Van Vliet team option. But overall, if I'm the Phoenix Suns, yeah, I would do it. You get 3 first-round picks. If I'm the Houston Rockets, I don't think so. Listen, we just saw them losing 7 games to the Warriors. I know they were the higher seed, but they were down 3-1. They made a valiant effort to force it to a Game 7. They have a lot of nice young things going on right now with Amen Thompson and Tari Eason and Alperen Şengün, who kind of sucked in the first round. But I don't think going Durant is the way to go, because I don't think adding him to your current roster makes you a championship contender, and all it would really do is waste some assets. You know, I would rather them go after, maybe go after John Morant or go after Trae Young, right? I guess you're going to need a Fred Van Vliet replacement. I don't really think they should pay him that $40 million unless they use it in a trade. So I just think the Rockets have a good young thing going. They should try to continue going more young. Kevin Durant is not the move. From a Heat fan perspective, I'm down if the price is right. Moving on here, we have the Miami Heat find their star in Ja Morant. They have the Miami Heat receiving Ja Morant and Jay Huff, who, don't sleep on Jay Huff, a true 7-footer with a jump shot. I certainly think that's something the Heat could use. And then they'd be sending to the Grizzlies Duncan Robinson, Kyle Anderson, Nikola Jovic, Kamehameha Jaquez Jr., and a 25 first, 29 first, and a 2031 first round pick. Wow. So 3 first-round picks for Ja Morant does seem a bit steep. Now, if this was a couple years ago, I would do it, because I think Ja Morant was a superstar. Is he still a superstar? I don't know. That's the thing with Ja Morant, is there's a lot of questions surrounding him, whether it's the health stuff that's keeping him off the court, the off-the-court issues that's keeping him off the court, I mean, he didn't really have a great season shooting the ball. And in the playoffs, he was a bit inconsistent as well. I know he got hurt again in the playoffs. And it's just like, if I'm trading 3 first-round picks for someone, I don't want there to be any major obvious flaws. I mean, maybe one. It's just like 3 firsts is a lot. And I know there's no such thing as a perfect prospect. That's why I'm not going to say, oh, Durant's too old. No, thank you. Zion can't stay healthy. No, thank you. Ja can't stay healthy. No, thank you. But because there's no perfect prospect, and at some point you have to take a risk and hope it works out. That's how you win championships. You got to take a risk. So I understand that. But in the other 2 cases with Durant and Zion, I don't think you'd be trading 3 first-round picks. That's just a lot of picks for a guy you got questions about. And so outside of the questions about the availability, which to me is the most important part, because we just went through a Jimmy not wanting to pay Jimmy because he couldn't stay healthy. So now we're going to pay another guy and give a bunch of assets who also has a big injury history. That scares me. But outside of all the availability issues, I think there's an on-court issue. Your starting backcourt would be Ja Morant and Tyler Hero. Defensively, that's kind of scary. Now, I know Ja Morant can provide the inside game. He can provide that dribble penetration that the Heat are really lacking. Tyler Hero can provide the outside game. So as far as an offensive punch, I think they make a nice 1-2. But defensively, it scares me. It really, really does. I think this trade would make more sense if you could flip Tyler Hero over to Memphis and maybe save a first-round pick or 2. Get to keep those assets. Now, I don't think Memphis would want Desmond Bane just because they have, or want Tyler Hero because they have Desmond Bane. And maybe in that case, you could flip Tyler to a 3rd team, which is the same stuff we went through with the Damian Lillard saga. But maybe a team like Orlando's interested. They need some more scoring. Maybe a team like San Antonio's interested if they want to kind of upgrade that Devin Vassell spot. I do think now there's suitors for Tyler Hero, especially now that he had such a great regular season, made an all-star team, and that kind of makes him look a lot more bright in a lot of other teams' eyes. I think he definitely upped his trade value with the regular season that he had. Because you're also giving up Jovic and Jaime. Obviously, I think Jaime has some negative trade value at this point, although I do believe he can rebuild that trade value this season. But Jovic got potential, and I do think he has trade value. I think he had a nice season before breaking his hand, and for me, this is just a bit too much as a Heat fan. I really think so. From the Memphis side of things, I guess they would do it, but they're still going to need a replacement for Ja Morant, and they would want to win now. I mean, I still think they have a competitive roster. They're going to need to find a replacement somewhere, and they're not getting it with any of these guys. I don't know if the plan would be to eventually start Nikola Jovic next to Jaren Jackson. No, but they got Zach Edey. I don't know. This is just a weird one. For me, Ja Morant's a risk that I'd be willing to take for a little bit less assets. Moving on, though. If you're watching this video, then you are an elite ball knower, so why not take advantage of it with MyBookie? Listen, y'all, throughout the NBA playoffs, I'll be using their live betting feature to smash the Davion Mitchell overs and smash the Rudy Gobert unders, and then using their early cash out option to stack up the profits. If you want to do the same, make sure to sign up for MyBookie using promo code MM50, which will instantly boost your first deposit. And then once the games wrap up, you can check out their casino, which has blackjack and slots and roulette. You name it, bet on anything, anytime, anywhere, only with MyBookie. Now let's get back into the video. This is the last one. The Raptors win the Giannis sweepstakes. Whew, man, listen, I think any team that Giannis goes to, he obviously will want to contend. I don't necessarily think the Raptors will be able to do that, but let's see what the package is. So the Raptors would receive Giannis and Pat Connaughton, and the Bucks would receive Brandon Ingram, RJ Barrett, a 25 first, a 27 first, a 29 first, and a 31 first. The hell? This is the best that they think the Bucks could do for Giannis? I mean, if I'm the Heat, I'm trading Tyler Hero in 3 first-round picks. The Heat actually have the availability to trade 4 first-round picks. They amend some protections on that Charlotte pick, so they can. They have to make a couple moves, but, I mean, Brandon Ingram, I mean, he's got to be pushing 30 at this point. He's not the young kid from the Lakers no more, scoring 20 points per game. He's also got injury concerns. RJ Barrett, he got better, I think, once he left New York, went to the Raptors, but I don't think he's no first prize either. I don't really think he's living up to that 2nd or 3rd pick in the draft, whatever he is. I mean, he's a good player, but he's nothing special. And only 4 firsts for Giannis. I mean, I hate to keep going back to the Rudy Gobert thing, but Rudy Gobert went for 4 or 5 firsts. Giannis can't go for less than that. Especially, I think the Bucks are going to do right by Giannis because they're not ran by that bum-ass Joe Cronin. So Giannis will have a list. I do think the Bucks will oblige to that list. And I just can't see Giannis having the Bucks or the Raptors on that list. I mean, from a Raptors side of things, they'd have a starting lineup with Scotty Barnes and Giannis. I mean, unless Scotty really develops that jump shot, that could be a bit of a clanky fit too. I don't know. I don't really see the fit for Giannis on the Raptors, unless the plan is to bring Giannis and then kind of go into the offseason with whatever cap space you have and try to go from there. But I mean, what Grady Dick provides some spacing. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think below. I just think from the Bucks side of things, this is I think it's not enough value for them to get. And from the Raptors side of things, I mean, yeah, it's a win. If you can go get Giannis, go get Giannis. But from a Giannis perspective, I don't see why he'd want to do that. Maybe that's the Heat fan in me talking about holding the blind hope of the 5% chance, less than 5, the 1% chance we have of getting Giannis. But I don't know. I just don't see that as the most realistic scenario. If y'all missed it, I did post a very excellent video yesterday detailing how the Heat could acquire Giannis. It was a massive 5-team trade, but I think it makes a lot of sense. I put a lot of time and effort into that video, so make sure you go check it out. And then the video before that, I kind of discussed my most likely scenarios for Giannis to end up in, and I do think that's the Raptors, Thunder, or Spurs, just because they have the most assets between picks and young players, and they could give Giannis a competitive environment for years to come, right now and for years to come. And obviously, this whole offseason will be tons of free agency talk between these 4 guys here, in addition to tons of draft talk. So make sure y'all subscribe so you don't miss it. Comment all your thoughts down below on these trades. I'm very curious to hear what y'all think. Like the video. All this stuff is greatly appreciated, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace out, everyone.
Look, pull up in your city, tryna get that dead face. Do it on my own, I don't need no dead weight. Had to kill him off, yeah, I need a head space. You know this homegrown bitch don't offend me.